What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Excited to share this one with you today. Y'all know that we've been getting into the BFS game recently, more this year than in others. We've been ultralight fishermen for a long time. Love doing that. Doesn't matter if it's the river, the kayak, the bank, it don't matter. We are all about the ultralight life. And so we wanted to share with you some of the biggest hacks that we've learned over the past couple of years. Now, some of these are going to apply just to ultralight or BFS fishing. Some of these are going to apply to generically just getting slim and trim with your gear. Some of it's going to be organization. Some of it's going to be how to pick the right ultralight rod. We're going to break everything down for you, again, giving you some of our favorite hacks that we've learned for BFS and ultralight fishing over the past couple of years. Now, before I get into that, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And if you want to see other fun videos like this, it's a great way to get alerted when we make them. All right, let's start with the obvious. Let's figure out what kind of gear we're going to be using when it comes to rod and reel. Now, there's a huge span of price ranges that you can get into. There's a lot of different options. And even though all ultralight rods seem like they're the same, or ultralight gear seems like they could all be comparable, they're not necessarily. And the one thing I will say about this, when you're choosing an ultralight rod, a lot of people, again, they just go for the cheapest one or they go for the most expensive one. There's so much that goes into this. I have to show you this. I would be remiss if I didn't show you guys the aggressively average angler's rod that we designed in partnership with Monster Bass. Now, these rods were designed by Will from Doomsday Tackle, and he helped us get to where we are today with this rod. And I'm telling you, this rod is killer. It's, over the past couple of years, again, we've been developing this acumen with ultralight fishing, and this rod we feel like delivers the most amount of fun for the least amount of dollars. The rod is $90. Now, a lot of the higher end rods where you're going to see some of the more premium components like you see in this rod, they're going to be over $100. We tried to be under that. That was really important for us. We want to have quality, but we didn't want to make it super expensive either. Now, before I get into this, I will say the rod that we got into, that we recommend to a lot of people, if you're in it for the cheapest rod, go get the 13 Fishing Defy Silver. It's $50. It's got a quality blank and it will hold up for a while. It's not quite as nice as some of the components in this rod, but it will hold up. And if you're just getting into it, highly recommend. For 50, 60 bucks, it is really hard to beat from just getting to the rock bottom price. But this is where I gotta show you this rod. Like I said, I'd be remiss if I didn't show it to you. First of all, it's gorgeous. It's got the black and purple color scheme with all the chartreuse accents. Check out, I'm gonna break it. Check out the rod butt with the M Monster Bass logo in the purple. And again, the whole thing is matte black. So the whole rod is matte black until you get to the tip of the rod right here. So there you're starting to see that chartreuse tip. Now, why did we do that? Well, yeah, it looks cool, duh. But here's the one thing about ultralight fishing. A lot of times you are sight fishing, and not for the fish, but you're gonna detect bites by sight before even feel. Some of those bites, like little tiny bluegill, they're one of the fastest eating creatures in the water. So when they do that little quick nibble, you can actually see it happen with the rod tip before you even feel it. This is gonna help you detect those really sensitive bites. It provides contrast to the background, being chartreuse, and allows you to see those bites even maybe before you see your line move. You might see the rod tip wiggle. So it's going to help you to detect those ultralight bites. Now let's talk stats real quick. This rod is a 6-foot ultralight mod fast. On the spectrum of ultralight rods, you basically have on the softer side, you've got your crankbait rods that are really for run and treble hooks, and then you've got some that are a little stiffer that maybe could do a thicker gauge hook. We're maybe 75% towards thicker gauge hook. The reason we did that is we fish a lot with mule fishing, plastics, and gear, which we'll talk about later, but that's open hook, ball head type jigs or mushroom head jigs. You need a little bit more backbone, but you still need to have a rod that's got in the full spectrum, can bend and handle a big fish. If you hook into a catfish, you're gonna need a rod that's gonna hold up and be able to handle that in open water. If you hook into a giant smallie from the bank, or if you're in the open water kayak, you need a rod that can bend and not break your line. So this rod can do all of that, but when you set the hook, it feels solid and you're gonna drive that. Even those small hooks, you're gonna drive them home. And that was important to us. So it can handle crankbaits, certainly, but it's not intended for that. It's intended for those open hook jigs. As far as weight rating, this is going to be, the sweet spot for this is 1/16 of an ounce between 1/16 and 1/32 of an ounce with like 4-pound line. That's really what this is for. It can handle up to 1/4 of an ounce. We have it from 1/4 ounce down to 1/32. That's like the sweet spot range, but really this rod was intended to throw 1/16 to 1/32 ounce lures with ease. The line test rating is 2 to 10 pound. I think that holds true. I don't know if I would go 10, but it'll certainly handle it. I think 6 and 4-pound braid. 6-pound is probably the sweet spot. 4-pound certainly wonderful there too. And then one thing that's really important is we want to show you the grip. So it is a split grip. It's got the aggressively average angler logo on there. You got the Portuguese cork. You got the Toray carbon fiber blank. Now that Toray carbon fiber is going to be very sensitive, very lightweight, and very durable. And that also goes for the guides. We have Fuji guides, and they have silicon carbide inserts. That is a very hard premium insert, and it is going to hold up for the long term. And one thing that was super important for us is also the balance point. The balance point is going to be right about here with this rod, just a little bit back closer to where the rod meets the handle, and that is going to really help you when you're casting those ultralight lures. Anything forward of that, so anything moving more in this direction, it's gonna feel like the rod's in control and you're not in control. So in order for the rod to load properly and in order for you to really whip that thing, you want the balance point a little bit backwards. We took a lot of time to design that with this rod. All that being said, for 90 bucks, this thing is jammed with value and it's gonna throw those ultralight lures, no problem. So picking the right rod, super important. This is a great option for us. Some other great options, TFO's panfish trout rod is phenomenal. Again, it's a little higher end price point. There are a ton out there that's just redesigned. Very nice rod, and it comes into a ton of different sizes. This one comes in a 6 foot. It's really designed to be that do-it-all. Theirs comes in like a ton of different actions and ranges and even like pieces. This is all one piece. Theirs comes in like 2 and I think all the way up to 4. So a lot of options there if this one doesn't do it for you. All right, now the question we got more than anything else about the rod was like what reel to pair with it, which I totally understand. And if you're new to ultralight fishing, that's a great question. I have 3 models for you that come in 3 different price ranges that I want to recommend. The first is going to be that Okuma Cymar. This is the cheapest one. They're like 50 bucks. They are just workhorses. You can use them for ice fishing if you get the 500 size. So this is the CBF 500. This one comes with a bait feeder, but just get the 500 size without the bait feeder. They're like 50 bucks. They look good. This one has been through the ringer. You can tell this thing has seen some days on the water and it's caught some gigantic fish. I do recommend the 500 size to 1,000 size. So that's what I recommend for most people who are ultralight fishing. The 1,000 is probably the more versatile. The 500, if you're really going for that super ultralight and you really need accurate casting, go with the 500. Next one up for like 100 bucks is the Daiwa Fuego. This is the 1,000 size. Again, black and red, looks super good, super durable, solid reel. I love the grip on these. The reel handle on these is really nice. This thing is rock solid for 100 bucks. I do think this is probably the best value. Well, second best value out of all of them. The Cymar is the best value. It just delivers at the price, but this is a really nice reel. And if you're a Daiwa fan or you just want something that's a little higher quality, maybe this is the one for you. Now, if you want to spend up just a little bit more for under 150 bucks, you can get the Okuma ITX. This is without a doubt, as far as graphite goes, one of the nicest reels that you can get. Comes in the 500 and 1,000 sizes, which I highly recommend. It's got a lot of those premium features like this grip here on the line. So when you're first spooling it up, you don't need to use any tape or anything like that. This little section right here is going to handle that for you. Super lightweight, super sturdy, super smooth. Love the grip actually. Didn't at first, but this like sort of wind grip type deal actually has grown on me a ton. I'm a huge fan. And it looks really good on pretty much any rod that you can get. So for a little bit more, the Okuma ITX might be a good option for you. All right, that's it for gear. Now let's talk my first hack. So one of the things that I think a lot of people run into is they don't have a lot of tackle, and then they start going and buying tackle, then they end up with too much tackle, or they don't know how to organize it or store it. This is where I think most of my hacks are actually gonna be like the most beneficial. The first thing I think that anyone who's into ultralight fishing needs or should be using some version of is a sling pack or a lumbar pack. So either sling or lumbar pack, which if you're taller, maybe the lumbar pack. Let's get away from the backpacks and let's get towards something that's a little bit more slim and trim. Now this is gonna be like maybe the most expensive version of a sling pack. This is the Fish Pond Thunderhead. We get a ton of questions on this one. It is very expensive. So like it's over 150 bucks, but it's got some premium features that I want to touch on briefly. One that most people probably don't need, but maybe they want is waterproof. This this is completely submersible, meaning I can plunge it completely under the water and I'm not going to have a problem at any point as long as it's zipped up properly. That's really what you're paying for with the Fish Pond Thunderhead. It does have some exterior attachment points, which I really like. They're kind of all over this thing. It does have like an add-on that you can like buy separately where it can like carry a rod for you, which is really nice, and I do have it on here. But really the biggest benefit is that it's waterproof. The other thing that I really love about it is that right back here you actually have a place to put your net. So I love that. I don't always carry a net, but like I've never been mad when I needed it to just like whip it out, grab a fish, and then, you know, do whatever you got to do. But it doesn't have a lot of internal pockets. It's basically just one big open cavity. Now it does have this thing in here and it gets the job done, but like it doesn't have a ton of dividers or anything like that. So you kind of just get what you get. For me, the waterproof is important. I carry camera gear. I need to have batteries with me when I'm on the river. It's kind of unavoidable. I kind of need it. So that's why I have that one, but I've used a ton of them. I've used ones from Orvis. There's just all different kinds, but like any sling pack that's a little bit smaller than a backpack can be super beneficial. Let me show you why this is so helpful. A lot of ultralight guys are going to be creek and stream fishermen. Now, when you throw this over here, you get your major tools. The most important things you need are right here. So like nippers, or if you're using, well, actually, I'll show you one of my favorite tools. Where are you hiding? God, it's at like the bottom of a pile. This is one of my favorite tools, and something that I recommend any ultralight or stream fisherman should have is these cheap do-it-all kind of pliers. Now, why do I recommend these? They do a lot of things in a very tiny lightweight package. So they are right here. They are braid scissors. They're cut and braid, and they cut braid pretty well actually. These are the Bass Pro Shop ones, but I've got like cheapo Amazon ones, and they do the same job. You can find these things anywhere. They're like maybe $10 for like a 3-pack. Like, if you lose them, who cares? I don't care. I can just go home and grab another one. But they do have they are actually really good braid scissors. They almost all of them have right here split ring pliers. So if you want to change out hooks, you need to make a repair, which does happen with ultralight tackle quite often. Those can come in super handy. They also act as pliers. So if you're talking about really tiny hooks and really tiny mouths sometimes, or papery mouths, you need to carefully extract those hooks. That can be a really helpful tool. Again, especially if you're on the river and you don't have access to like a whole boat or kayak or a backpack full of gear if you're on the bank. This could be a really helpful tool. But again, it does it all in one. And I put mine on retractors, which I love to do, and check out what you can do here. So with most of these sling packs, they're gonna have some version or some way for you to do this, which is have it super handy at all times. It's not wiggling around, it's not, and you just, boom, grab it, do your thing, blah, 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 done, hands-free. Love this. This is one of my favorite hacks. Again, one of the least expensive ones too. And while this is a very fancy, again, fish pond fly fishing, ooh, look at me, version, they make really cheap ones too. So this one is SF from Amazon, really inexpensive. They have all different kinds that you can use, but they all will get the job done. Retractor, pliers, / braid cutter / split ring remover, all in one, couple of bucks. That's a hack. All right, but why do we like, let's get back to the sling pack. Why do we like this sling pack? Well, check this out. One, right now, I can do whatever I need to do. I can climb mountains. I could like punch Jeff in the face. I can cast. I can do whatever I gotta do. I'm very hands-free. Here is the biggest benefit with a sling pack versus a backpack, or even really versus a lumbar pack in some instances. When I want to change out my lures, or want to, you know, mess around with my hooks, or even whatever, I need to get something out of my pack, change batteries if you're me, I just go like this, slide it around, and I have a little workstation right here. I put my rod and my reel right here, it sits there, hands-free, I tie, I change, I dig, look through my plastics, whatever, I tie, get all set up again, and then it just goes back, boom, gone. Like, that is easy, simple, and efficient. And the whole thing is, it's not big. Like they come in a lot of different sizes. This is like a medium size. This is like the perfect size for ultralight for me. You can pack a ton of ultralight baits into this thing, or BFS baits, whatever you want to call them. A ton of small plastics and hard baits into this thing, up to 3 or 4 boxes if you so choose, plus plastics. That is why I love the sling pack. But if you really want to go like ultra slim and trim, and I have to give credit where credit is due for this next one, this is like the real hack. This would be like Ethan Duvetter from Fish Anything, or the owner of Mule Fishing, however you happen to know him. He he is into this one, and I'm also into it. I just don't do it as much because I usually bring more than he does. Dude, just get a fanny pack. Mine happens to be like of the taco variety, which, you know, we love that, but you can get the American flag, you can go with the plain Jane, do whatever feels right. But you'd be shocked what you can fit inside of one of these. I can fit a couple of bags of plastics, I can fit all of my hooks, and then any terminal that I need just in a couple of pockets. This thing is tiny. And yes, it's meant for your waist, but it's just as easily, it can be a little sling pack as well. Bingo bongo. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, these are like, if you're on Amazon, if that's a place where you shop, extremely inexpensive. Again, you can go taco, American flag, you do whatever you want to do. You do you, flavor of your life, just go nuts. But this is a super hack. All right, so that gets you away from the backpacks and like the tackle bags of the world. Let's talk bait management next. This is huge. But let's talk hard baits first. First thing I'm going to tell you is downsize your box to whatever box size that you can get down to. So if you're using like, where's one here? Now let's say you're running all 3,700 size boxes. This is not going to cut it. You are not going to be happy. Do not use these for ultralight fishing. You're going to be upset. Look at the size of those trays. They're not meant for ultralight baits. They're meant for regular size baits and regular size things. You are going to be frustrated. These are sort of in order what I would recommend for you to downsize. The Plano Thin terminal box. This actually acts as a do-it-all box. It's wonderful for terminal because it's modular. It has a space here for like all of your smaller weights. It has these little doors and windows for like all of your terminal, and then you can leave these sides and longer trays open for your hard baits. And they're thin, so they're gonna fit inside of the sling pack very easily. But there are some drawbacks. One, they do not fit a ton of baits. I don't know what it is about those things, but they just don't fit a ton of baits. Two, the edge doesn't always, they kind of get loose over time and they don't always work the way that they're supposed to work. The 3,600 size, it's good, but if you're really trying to downsize, it can get a little frustrating. So not always perfect. Those are some small, minute downsides, also price, but it is what it is. The next thing I will say is the Buzbe. It's a lot more customizable. You see all these little trays inside of this. Now this is the Buzbe Thin. So this is the 15T, the 15 Thin. T stands for thin. It's got these two latches instead, and then you get all of these trays that you can pop out and you can customize as needed. So some guys like having just like all big squares, some guys like the 2, some 4. You do whatever you feels good for you. This actually is my ultralight box. This is like my BFS box right here. So that is one. They also make one that is even smaller, and it's the 8T. This is probably the king of hard bait, ultralight bait storage right here. Super heavy duty. It's a little on the heavy side, but it's very heavy duty. It's waterproof, so if you don't have a waterproof bag, you don't need to have any worries there. Super customizable. Sometimes I just leave these open. You can do whatever you need to do, and these things will last forever. You can fit 2 of these in the same space as one of the 15Ts. So I do recommend this. This is probably the best of the best. Now you can go cheaper and smaller. There's the Plano, different versions of these. This one is like the waterproof. They have the unwaterproof version, which is even cheaper. So again, if you're just getting into it, you can even go down to one that's half this size. Go as small and as inexpensive as you can get away with. That's my recommendation ultimately. I'm gonna show you some other even smaller hacks. One is the Buzbe Fast Flats. Now, this is the large size. They make a medium, which is about 2/3 the size of this one. Heavy duty. Not 100% waterproof, but very weatherproof. This will float certainly, but not submersible. But it's nice because it's got the window, but it's also got the heavy duty back and one zipper. This is the one that I take with me in my boat every single time I go. This has probably 75%, maybe 50% of my terminal. All my big swim bait hooks, anything that's larger, it is in here. This thing is a beast. And it's got these anchor points, which is super helpful. And inside of that, I got even more hacks. So this is something that I've discovered recently. Hook wallets. These things are sweet. Now there's a whole bunch of different ones out there. Ryugi makes one. This one is by Owner. And then Jeff has the NACO one somewhere, which is like twice the size of this one. But basically, it's just a little Rolodex for all of your hooks. I love that. And they're actually meant to be the same size as the hook original pack, so you can just slide the card back there so you know exactly what brand, size, all of that of the hook that you're using. I think these are dope. These are somewhere in the neighborhood of like $10 to $15 depending on what size and what brand, but these can really, like a bunch of these can fit in that fast flats and do some real organization for you. But one of my favorite hacks, especially when it comes to the fast flats or any of the other stuff I'm going to show you here in a second, is just buying your own bags. I bought these Mylar bags off Amazon. I bought a 100 pack for like, I don't know, maybe $6 or $8, and you just get a bunch of these. These are waterproof, they're replaceable, you can write on them, you can put stickers on them, you can put the card back in there, you can do whatever you want. They are really inexpensive, and you can put like, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 hooks in there easily. So these, by gall darn, these things are clutch. Now that works for weights, hooks, even small plastics, whatever it is that you want. Or another tip, best value, just save the bags that you get from baits and hooks that you buy. Just save the original bags and just reuse them. Same deal. The only drawback on these ones is they're a little less durable. Sometimes you poke holes in them. That can be frustrating. But it's like, you know, you already paid for it, so just use it. So yeah, I keep these all in one spot, keep them handy for whenever I need them, and I just fill up that fast flats with these. All right, I've got another hack for you. This one is around line. These are called line winding cards. They were really designed for tenkara fishermen who are ultra simplistic, ultra light, and these things are super nifty. So for about $7 you can get a bunch of these, and what I've done is they have these little tabs all the way around them on wheels. What I do is I cut as much line as I want, about maybe 3 or 4 double arm lengths, and I just wrap them around here on both sides, and then I write what size test there. So I have 8-pound here, 10-pound on this side, all the way up to, as you can see, 20-pound. Again, this is what I keep in my kayak, but when you have both sides available, that's a ton of different line options for all of your leader line. These things are super clutch. This type of stuff can fit into a fast flat like this, or into the front pouch of one of these, and it's just, dude, it's too easy. It's just too easy. Now let's talk plastic storage. Now, you can go as crazy as you want with plastics. I personally think that you can get away with like some super minimalistic stuff. Mule fishing is my favorite, and they have really sort of changed the way that I think about packing for some of these ultralight trips. Now this is my entire BFS fishing plastics and terminal kit, all in one Buzbe. These are called the quick cubes. They have a medium, this is the medium deep, this is the medium regular, so it's about half the thickness here. These things are awesome. It's just a fast flats, but like in a 3D cube. But what I love about mule fishing is they make this really easy. So what I tend to do is I tend to mix and match my pack. So mule fishing makes a paddle tail in a couple different sizes. They make like a minnow or a drop shot type weight. It's a straight tail little fork in a couple different sizes. And then they have the jackworm, which can get cut into like a curly tail, it can be wacky rigged, it can be like 6 different, 10 different baits depending on how you cut it up. We've done some videos on that in the past, but it's great for trailers and a bunch of other stuff too. So with like 3 to 5 bags, you basically have what you need for a whole day. You got a paddle tail, you got like a straight tail if you need it, and then you got a curly tail. Like what more do you need? And again, mixing, matching the colors means I can carry even less bags. So the idea that all that could fit in this very easily and be your whole kit for the day, it's actually pretty realistic. But the other thing I do is I carry one larger bag with like a line winder card with 2 different size leaders, and then the hooks that I'm gonna need for the day and the weights. And this is like the whole thing. That's all my terminal, and it fits right inside of this bad boy right here. Or again, in the front pouch of my fanny pack, or you know, whatever kind of bag, sling bag that I'm bringing. I just minimize this thing down to basically nothing. Now everybody's different. You can go kitchen sink. This is what I would consider to be kitchen sink. Now when I'm BFS fishing in the river and I'm making a video, I know I need to catch fish. So if I'm going kitchen sink, here's all my hard baits, here's all my terminal and all my plastics. That's it. And this whole kit probably weighs about 5 pounds. So again, that's the kitchen sink version. You could easily cut that in half by, instead of going with the medium deep, just go with the medium, and then this bad boy right here, or go with the fast flats like that. Go super slim and trim. And if you really want to go down to nothing, just fit it on the fanny pack and just take less. Hard to beat. So ultralight fishing is supposed to be super fun. And one thing that can be super fun is being really simplistic. If you know you're targeting panfish, you don't need a ton of baits. You don't need to take the whole kitchen sink. Sometimes you only need 4 or 5 packs of plastics. Maybe you need this much terminal tackle if you're going absolutely nuts. And what else do you really need? One little tool and maybe one of those line winding cards. It is insane how much fun you can have, and you just get away with murder by just like not bringing a ton of stuff. Again, Ethan has totally outfished me, bringing nothing but a fanny pack, and his fanny pack is only half full. It's embarrassing that he's so good, but I love the approach. He's having fun, he stays focused, and he stays consistent because he just has this really slim and trim bag of tricks that he reaches into, and it has what he needs and nothing that he doesn't need. That's the ultralight mantra right there. So those are some of our favorite hacks for ultralight fishing. I hope that you guys use a couple of these, steal them for the, you kayak fishermen, steal a couple of these. Being slim and trim in the kayak is awesome too. Use the line winding cards. Stop taking braid scissors and pliers and just trim down to maybe one thing. Use the zingers, man. Just attach them to your PFD. I do it all of the time. But yeah, take any of these tips, any of these tricks, any of this gear that you saw, use it to your advantage, and I hope it just helps you have more fun. That's really what we're here to do. We're here to get out there, make it easy to get out there, catch fish, and have fun. That's all we really care about. So again, hopefully you can use some of these tips and tricks. If you got any questions, ask us down in the comments below. We do our very best to answer every single one that we see. We appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, have an awesome day. We'll catch you out on the next video. Later.